I felt the burn before I even swallowed. My tongue tingled, my throat tightened, and the wine hit weird, too fast, too hot. I looked up from my glass, right at her. Her smile was fake as hell. Tight-lipped, watchful. Something in me just knew. So I did it. I reached across the table, laughed like nothing was wrong, and swapped our glasses when nobody was looking, right before her husband took a sip of mine. He choked hard. She went pale. And that was the moment I realized this dinner wasn't just family drama. It was war. Before we continue, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I honestly love reading each one. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let's get started. Okay, so I'm gonna start from the top, and you gotta promise not to judge me till the end, all right? I'm Brielle Dorsey, 31, born in this sleepy little town just outside Pittsburgh, and now I live about an hour out, in this suburb that feels like someone just paused time. You know the kind. Same people mow their lawn every Saturday at 8 a.m., every house has 2 pumpkins on the porch by mid-October, and folks wave like they're getting paid for each second their hands in the air. I manage a bakery. Nothing fancy, just this corner spot called Sweet Crumb that smells like cinnamon rolls and burnt coffee filters by noon. It's mine, though. Early mornings, cracked fingers, flour in my hair. But I like it. It's simple. Predictable. And I'm married. For years. Dylan. He's good to me. The kind of guy who folds laundry without being asked and still holds my hand in the car. Real soft-spoken. Big-hearted guy. We're solid. Not fireworks and violins, but steady. Which I used to think was enough. I used to love that. Lately, though, something in me's been itching. Not in a runaway and join the circus way, just like I'm waiting for something to happen. Something real. Something sharp enough to wake me up. I didn't think that something would be poison. But hey, life's got jokes. Anyway, Dylan's mom, Charlene, has hated me since day one. I'm talking full throttle, cold syrup hate. She never yelled or said it outright. Nah, she's the type that gives compliments with a butter knife. That lipstick is brave on your skin tone, or you always do your best with your hair, don't you? Like she's trying to stab you, but make it sound polite. And Dylan? Oblivious. He thinks she's just particular. God bless his soul. She's always been a little territorial with him, you know? Always acting like I stole her golden boy. And every time we're together, she's tossing these invisible darts at me across the room while pretending we're besties. It's exhausting. So when she invited us for dinner, just the 4 of us, I was already chewing Tums before we even got out the car. Dylan was like, it'll be fine. She's trying. But I knew better. You don't spend years watching someone smile at you with their teeth and not learn the difference between a grin and a warning. I wore the soft blue blouse she once said brought out my kindness, whatever the hell that means. I brought her favorite wine, some overpriced blend she name-dropped once at Christmas while critiquing my pecan pie. I thought maybe, just maybe, this was her truce flag. When we got there, she answered the door in pearls and that too-tight red lipstick that bleeds into her lip lines like cracked paint. Her hug was stiff, cold. She didn't say, nice to see you, just, well, Brielle, you made an effort. That's new. Like, girl. Damn. Her husband Gerald was there too. He's more wallpaper than person. Nice, quiet, definitely tired. Always has that I'm just here so I don't get fined vibe. I never had a problem with him. Dinner started out fake. The food was decent, nothing that screamed trap, but she kept filling my wine glass without asking. I'm not talking generous pours either. I mean, like every time I took a sip, it was full again. Her hand hovered near that bottle like she was babysitting it. I wasn't even drinking that fast, but something felt off. My gut had that tight, twisty feeling like it knew something I didn't. Then, I took that sip. One. Just one. Instant regret. It tasted wrong. Like bitter metal. Like wine, but not. My tongue went numb. My throat felt like it was closing. My eyes started to water. that fast. I'm no wine snob, but I know what it's not supposed to taste like. And across the table? Charlene, staring, not blinking, just watching me over her mashed potatoes with that Stepford wife smile barely hanging on. I froze. My stomach flipped. But instead of freaking out, I did something I didn't even think about. I smiled. Big, bright, sweet. Then I reached across the table, all casual-like, and said, "Oh shoot, Gerald, I think I grabbed yours and I swapped our glasses." Nobody questioned it. Gerald just chuckled, raised mine to his lips, and took a nice, long sip. And I watched her face. Not his. Hers. It cracked. Just for a second. Like she saw a ghost. Her eyes got wide, then narrow, like she was trying to pull the glass out of his mouth with her thoughts alone. Too late. He started coughing. Not little polite coughs either. Deep, hacking ones that made his shoulders jump. He looked panicked, red in the face, gasping. Dylan jumped up like his chair caught fire. "Dad, are you okay?" I sat frozen. Fork midair. My ears buzzing. Charlene shot up so fast her chair slammed into the wall. Her eyes never left me, not even for a second. Like she knew. Like I caught her. And that's when I realized this wasn't just some petty jealousy. This wasn't just her being a manipulative witch trying to make me feel small. No, this was a move. A threat. A line crossed. And I'd just turned it right back around on her. The hospital visit was a nightmare. Dylan's face as they checked his dad in, all frantic and pale, Jesus, it was too much. They said it was mild poisoning, which didn't make any damn sense. There were traces of something in the wine, something I couldn't pronounce, but it wasn't just a mistake kind of thing. This wasn't the kind of stuff you find in a bottle of Chardonnay. Gerald was all right in the end, shaken up. Sure, but fine. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The way Charlene looked at me, like she wasn't worried about Gerald at all. No, she was worried about me. And that sent a chill through me that I couldn't shake for days. Dylan was all over the place, trying to figure out how something got in the wine. How the hell did that get in there? He kept asking, his voice that weird mix of scared and confused. But I wasn't ready to say anything. Not yet. Not until I knew exactly what was going on. Later that night, I snuck into the kitchen. I grabbed the wine bottle earlier, still sealed, corked up tight like it was fresh out of the store. I opened it, looked inside. Clean. But the glass, the one Charlene poured for me, that was a different story. I saw her rinse it before dinner. I saw her hands near it before I even sat down. Something in me told me she knew what she was doing. I mean, she had to have known, right? This wasn't some accident. She was too careful, too prepared. And when she poured it, her smile was too wide, too practiced. But what did she put in it? I didn't have the answer yet. So I waited. The next morning, I couldn't sleep. I was wired, all the adrenaline from the night still humming through me, every muscle tight. So I did what any logical person would do when they're staring at a problem they can't figure out. I called Maddie. Maddie's the kind of girl who doesn't flinch when things get weird. She used to work with a private investigator, so she knows all the ins and outs of sneaky, underhanded stuff. As soon as I told her everything, she didn't even pause. "No, are you sure? Or maybe you're overthinking it." She just said, "You need to get proof." Record her. I almost laughed at how absurd it sounded. Like, who the hell goes around accusing their mother-in-law of poisoning them? But as the thought sank in, the more it made sense. The more I thought about the way she'd been acting, the pouring, the fake smiles, the way she froze when Gerald drank my glass. She meant to hurt me, maybe not kill me, maybe just scare me, make me back off, humiliate me. But why? Why was she going this far? Was I just another thing for her to control? I couldn't let it slide. So I made a plan. I called her, told her I wanted to try again. Said I wanted to reconnect, Start fresh. Be the daughter-in-law she deserved. She bought it a hook, line, and sinker. Next dinner, Charlene invited us again. Same old act, same old smile. But this time, I brought Maddie with me. She played it off like she was Dylan's friend from work, and I had her hide a little recorder in her purse. Charlene was colder this time, though. I could tell. Smarter. No more wine pouring. No more weird smiles. Just this careful, watchful gaze that never left me. Like she was waiting for me to mess up. I didn't, at least, not in the way she expected. I just let her keep talking, keep showing her cards. Gerald, on the other hand, he didn't say much. His eyes kept darting around like he couldn't hold his own secrets anymore. And when I caught him looking at me, across the table, he looked scared, like he knew something too. He didn't hold my gaze. He avoided it. It didn't take long to realize Gerald wasn't the only one feeling trapped. But I wasn't about to back down. Not this time. A week passed, and I tried to push everything out of my mind. I had my bakery to run. Dylan was still freaked out, but he kept pretending like everything was normal, at least, when we were alone. But every time I looked at him, I saw the question in his eyes. The uncertainty. Like he was waiting for me to drop the bomb on him. And then, of course, Gerald called me. Not Dylan. Me. It wasn't a long call, but the way his voice sounded, my stomach sank. He sounded off. His voice was shaking, like he wasn't sure how to even start. I need to talk to you. Alone, he said. I almost asked him if he was sure if it was really necessary. But I already knew something was coming. I could feel it in my bones. So I agreed. We met up at this little cafe near the church where he volunteered. It was a cozy spot, flowers on the tables, dim lights, and the smell of fresh coffee filling the air. But none of that could settle my nerves. I had this weird sense of dread crawling up my spine, but I sat down anyway. Gerald wouldn't sit. Instead, he stood by the window, looking out at the street like he was expecting someone to show up. His arms were crossed, like he was holding something in. You know, he started, his voice low. She didn't mean for him to drink it. Not at first. My eyes widened. I could feel my pulse in my throat. What do you mean? She was trying to send a message, Gerald muttered, his gaze fixed on the sidewalk. He looked like he was physically struggling to get the words out. She didn't want him to die, but she wanted to make sure you got the message. I leaned forward. What kind of message? I whispered. Gerald finally turned to face me. His face was pale, like he'd been carrying a weight he hadn't been able to put down for a long time. She thinks you're pulling Dylan away from her, he said, his voice cracking. She's scared you're ruining everything, making him forget who he really is. She thinks you're manipulating him. I stared at him, my brain struggling to catch up. Manipulating him? What the hell are you talking about? He shook his head, his hands trembling. I don't know. She said you needed a warning. That if you got sick, you'd stop coming around. She's losing control of him, Brielle. She can't stand it. My heart dropped into my stomach. A warning? That's what she'd been doing all along? Trying to control me, scare me, humiliate me? Gerald, what else? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Tell me the whole damn thing. Gerald closed his eyes, his hands tightening on his arms like he was holding on to something, his own regret. Maybe. She didn't tell me what she put in the glass. I didn't know. But after I got sick, she panicked. Told me everything. Begged me not to say anything. I felt a tight knot form in my stomach. The weight of everything I'd been feeling, the paranoia, the unease, the feeling that something was going on that I couldn't quite see, was all crashing into focus. Why are you telling me now? I asked, barely able to get the words out. I didn't trust myself to sound calm. Because she's planning something else, he said, his voice strained. I heard her on the phone. She thinks you switched the glass on purpose. She's furious. She thinks you're dangerous now. I could feel my body go stiff. My hands clenched around my coffee cup so tight that I almost cracked the porcelain. You have to protect yourself, Brielle, he added, his voice trembling. "I'm so sorry." I should have stopped her. I should have said something sooner. My mind was spinning. Dangerous? She thought I was dangerous? My head was a whirlwind of thoughts, of what I'd been through, what I'd seen in her eyes. And now Gerald was telling me she was planning something bigger? I didn't even realize I was shaking until the coffee spilled over the rim of my cup. Gerald reached across the table and grabbed my hand. "I'm sorry," he repeated, voice raw, "but you need to be careful. She's unstable." I didn't know what to say. There was too much information, too much to process. All I could do was nod, but I felt the panic rising in me. "Don't worry, Gerald. I'll figure it out," I said, my voice steady even though my insides were anything but. I wasn't sure who I was trying to convince, him or myself. I left that cafe with one thought clear in my mind. I couldn't wait for proof anymore. I had to take control of this myself. The minute I got home that night, I knew things were about to change. No more playing nice. No more waiting for signs or proof or whatever this slow-burning mess was turning into. Charlene wanted war? Fine. I'd make sure she got a taste of her own game. I had to be smart about this. I wasn't going to go charging in all emotional and sloppy, no, that was exactly what she wanted. I had to be quiet, calculating, subtle, and the first step? Evidence. I needed it. I needed something irrefutable, something so concrete she couldn't lie her way out of it. I wasn't going to risk doing it alone either. I called Maddie again. She was the only person who wouldn't blink an eye at this crazy-ass plan I was hatching. "Brielle, you're sure about this?" she asked when I explained everything over the phone. I could hear the concern in her voice. "I'm sure." "She tried to kill me, Maddie. I'm not just gonna roll over." "All right, well then, I've got your back. We'll do this." The plan was simple: catch Charlene in the act. She loved her little, surprise visits, dropping by unannounced, making herself at home. She'd always claimed she was just trying to help, but after everything that had happened, it felt more like a way to snoop, to control. So I let her. The first time she came by, I barely even noticed her slip into the kitchen to make herself some tea. She acted so casual about it, but I could feel her eyes on me the whole time. She was so focused, so intent on being normal. I had the cameras set up, hidden in plain sight. A little rigged system that Maddie helped me install. Cameras in places where Charlene wouldn't even think to look, like the living room clock and a small picture frame by the doorway. That night, she left her purse in the guest room. I noticed it when I was making my way to the bathroom, just sitting there, casually tucked behind the couch like it didn't belong to a woman who could disappear into a room and act like she hadn't been snooping. I didn't even think twice. I moved quietly, my pulse hammering in my chest. I knew what I was looking for. I opened it. My breath caught when I saw it. A small vial, clear liquid inside. Nothing good ever comes in a vial like that. I slipped on gloves, took a picture, and then I put it back exactly how it had been. That wasn't even the worst part. The worst came the next day. Charlene stopped by with a batch of cookies. "I thought you'd like these, Brielle," she said sweetly, handing me a plate of the most perfectly golden brown cookies. Too perfect. I didn't even taste them. I couldn't. But I knew something wasn't right. That's when I had them tested. And sure enough, the cookies came back with traces of the same thing that sent Gerald to the hospital. Some kind of toxin. Something that shouldn't be anywhere near food. I wasn't done yet. No way. The thing about Charlene? She had this way of lurking, watching, and I was getting tired of playing nice. One evening, I came home early from the bakery. My mind was on autopilot, just checking the house for the usual, the mail, the shoes, the grocery bags. But when I walked into the bedroom, my stomach dropped. She was there, in my room. Charlene, standing in front of my dresser, rifling through my drawers like it was just another Tuesday. Looking for scissors, she asked, her voice sweet like nothing was wrong. I didn't even flinch. I just stood there, silent, leaning against the doorframe, watching her as she lied. I was done. No more pretending. No more pretending I didn't know what she was doing. No more pretending this was just some weird misunderstanding. I had the evidence. It was time to face Dylan. That night, I sat him down, showed him everything, the pictures, the audio, the tests. His face turned pale as he flipped through the photos I'd taken of Charlene's purse. The vial, the cookies. His eyes were wide as he listened to the recording of her on the phone, her voice as clear as day, talking about how I was dangerous and how she had to protect her son. He didn't believe me at first. He couldn't. But then the doubt started creeping in like a shadow under his skin. His face changed slowly, like he was just realizing what kind of monster he had been married to for so long. And then, he just broke. He was quiet for a long time, not saying a word. And I could see the gears turning in his head, the confusion, the betrayal. I watched him go through it all, piece by piece. I don't know what to say, Brielle, he whispered. You don't have to say anything. Just listen. I could see the storm in his eyes. The mix of love and guilt, the fight between who he thought his mother was and who she really was. The man who had always been so sure of everything suddenly looked like he didn't know which way was up. He called her, put her on speaker. His voice was steady when he said, I know what you've been doing. And for the first time, she didn't lie. She didn't try to cover it up. She laughed. I did what I had to do, she said, like I wasn't even there. Like I was just something in the way of her perfect little world. Brielle was never meant to last. She's just a phase. I had to protect my son from women like her. Dylan's face went white. He hung up. His hands were shaking as he put his phone down. I can't believe this, he whispered. It was over. The week after the phone call, things moved fast. Too fast. Dylan and I didn't waste time. We just didn't. Once I saw the truth, there was no pretending. No more hoping things would magically get better or that Charlene would suddenly change her ways. The fact was, she had tried to poison me, and no amount of wine or small talk could make that go away. We packed up our things that weekend. It wasn't even a discussion. Dylan and I didn't have some big heart-to-heart about what to do next. We knew. It was instinct and unspoken, brutal kind of understanding between us. This was it. I made sure to leave the keys in the mailbox. The keys to the house she had tried to control. The house that was supposed to be our safe space, our home, but had turned into a battlefield. I didn't feel any triumph. No sense of victory. There wasn't time for that. I just felt exhausted. It didn't hit me right away how much it would change. I mean, sure, I expected some mess, the aftermath, the fallout, the guilt. Dylan's mom had been a part of his life for so long, but it wasn't the kind of thing you could just fix with a conversation or a bottle of wine, right? He blocked her number, changed his email, all of it. She wasn't getting another inch. That's when Gerald called. He left a voicemail first. His voice was cracked, like he hadn't slept in days. He didn't sound like himself. It was one of those messages that makes you pause and listen carefully because you know there's something behind the words, something raw. I can't keep doing this, Brielle. She's not who you think she is. I'm leaving her. I can't live with someone who does this to people, who smiles while hurting them. I'm sorry I didn't stop it sooner. I should have said something before, but I was scared. I couldn't, but I can't stay. I didn't know what to say to that. I wanted to feel sorry for Gerald. I wanted to believe that he was the good guy here. But honestly, by the time that call came through, I was past it. You don't get to hurt people and expect forgiveness to fall from the sky, not when it's your actions that put someone else in danger. But then I thought about what he'd said, how he'd seen it, how he had his own regrets. Maybe that was his way of making amends. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure of anything anymore. We didn't hear from Charlene again. At least, not directly. And part of me thought, maybe she'd be quiet. Maybe she'd slink off into the shadows, a woman defeated by her own games. But I wasn't about to wait for that. I guess it's weird, but sometimes I still feel her. It's like she's in the room, just out of reach. Her voice, the way she used to talk to me like I was a child, always hovering just behind my shoulder. Every now and then, I'll catch myself doing something and think, what would she say about that? Then I laugh, because I don't need to ask. I'm stronger than I ever was when I let her get to me. I've learned that you can love someone deeply, but if they don't respect you, if they can't see your worth, that doesn't mean you have to stick around and take it. You can build a new family, a new life, even from the broken pieces. And honestly, some days, it's like I'm starting over, but not in the way I thought. Not in the way I wanted, but in the way I needed. A version of me that's not looking over my shoulder for approval, but standing tall and saying no. I get to decide. I'm not your project. I'm not your puppet. I'm mine. As for Dylan, well, he's been different. Better in a way. Softer. More present. The way we communicate now? It's different. And maybe that's because we've gone through something together, something that changed everything we thought we knew about family, love, and trust. There's a quiet strength between us now that wasn't there before. I don't know if it'll last forever, but for now, we're good. We're better. And Charlene? She's just a shadow now. One that pops into my mind every so often when I'm staring into the mirror or working late in the bakery. But she doesn't control me. Not anymore. You know what? I don't even care where she is or what she's doing, because I'm finally free. If you've ever had to protect yourself from someone who was supposed to love you, drop a wine glass in the comments. I see you. I get it.